everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of catching up with someone who needs no introduction, yet I will anyway. Bassist for Anthrax, vocalist, songwriter, author, Frank Bello. Yeah.
Oh, wow. But I can't live up to that right now. That's too much. But how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to make sure I added and the Bronx very own Frank Bello. Yay!
Don't forget the Bronx. That's important. That's a good one. Thank you.
I wanted to make sure I didn't leave that out. So, Frank, it's been a whirlwind. The last time we had a chance to chat, you and JD and I, back in June,
yeah,
it was in the frenzy of pre-tour. A lot of stuff amazingly has kind of happened, so we're going to want to catch up a little bit. But I wanted to have a sit down with you, particularly because there was just so much that we didn't have a chance to talk about, because that was just a whirlwind.
It was.
If people didn't see that, they really should see it, because it's worth watching, because it was just so much fun and so frenetic and great. So,
and JD's a sweetheart, great bass player, all of the above. I mean, just, you know, you could talk to him I can talk to JD forever. I mean, not even about bass, just life and then bass. He's one of those good guys on the earth that we did that BLS tour, that Black Label tour with Hatebreed and Anthrax. And let me tell you, we had just a pisser, like the word pisser, because every day was a laugh. It was a good vibe backstage, very family oriented. We all hung out together, ate together. It was just a lot of good laughs and great shows, really packed shows. In fact, from that tour, there's probably going to be a second leg. It went so well that the promoters were asking for a second leg during it. I think in February we're going to be going out again, which is great.
Well, it certainly left a lot of us hoping that we could be at the Coney Island event, because that sounded like that was going to be a blast.
It was.
But we'll circle back. One of the things we didn't get a chance to talk about last time was kind of going back to your beginnings. How did you get started in music and on bass?
Well, growing up in the Bronx, you know, my dad took off when I was young. It's the story, but a lot of people have the same story. But my goal was to feel better, and music made me feel better. When my dad took off, I went to move into the house of my grandmother where Charlie Benanti, the Anthrax drummer, lived, because we're related. And I saw Charlie at 4 years old be a great drummer. I saw 4 years old, and I can attest to this. He was an amazing drummer back then. And he was always into the music, and I was always inspired. I said, wow, he's doing that. I love to do something with music. Mm-hmm. I got the bug, and I started playing guitar. And we started to jam together, and I was playing the bass parts on the guitar is what happened. We were jamming a lot, jamming all different songs. And he said, why don't you just switch to bass? And don't you know, as soon as I switched to the bass, it clicked in. I knew that was, you know, you just feel at home. Mm-hmm. And that's truly what it was. I felt like I was home, where the bass parts that I heard in my ear, because when I hear a song, it's weird. I just go straight to the bass and see what the bass player is doing and grooving. I'll hear that and I'll figure it out as I'm listening to it. All right, he starts on the D. He's going to go scale down. Okay. And I just start figuring it out. And then I'll get to the song later on. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of bass players out there do it.
Absolutely.
It automatically, I don't know why that was, it still happens to this day. I listen to the melody, blah, blah, blah. And that was it, man. So once I switched, it was on. It was on, and it's been love ever since. To this day, I'm a loving bass. I love fucking bass. Yeah. I love it. I want to learn more. I'm a complete student. I want to learn. I'll never get to where I want to get to, and that's good. Mm-hmm. That's good, because it keeps you hungry. I want to stay hungry as a bass player. I want to learn something from you today, from the person that's just starting out that he's just screwing around with. I want to find something there that I'm going to learn from and put into the sponge that is my computer head. And I think it's important, and it comes organically out. That's the way I figure life now, man. That's the way I figure the bass. That's how you get better. You want to learn, and you just want to keep incorporating different players, you know.
Absolutely. Well, and then you're pretty much self-taught?
Yeah. I mean, look, in the Bronx, back to the Bronx, there was this music school, and I went for a few of them, and it was like $35 a lesson. And it sounds cheap now, but back then, in the 80s, I was making $2 an hour at the deli. Come on, and $35 is a lot of money. So when I went there, I just felt like the person teaching me, he was milking me. You know the term milking. I felt like he was milking me, because I was already playing, and he was teaching me like I would want to play, and all of a sudden I just happen to have the Frank Bello signature model, Sean Bell.
There we go.
Shameless promo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would just start playing like this. I do these at my clinics. And I say, all right, so I've been playing Rush this week. I've learned the Rush song, whatever. And he goes, Frank, we have to go back to the beginning. Here it is. A, B, B. This is literally how we were doing it. And that got frustrating, to say the least. Not that I think I knew everything, and maybe there was a rhyme to the reason there, but I was ready to do more. Sure. I wanted to advance, and I said, can we just catch up? Because, where can I go? Show me scale, show me everything. There was no YouTube back then. There was none of that. So then I just started figuring things out, bought books, and I just started listening to my favorite players and learned from them. They were my teachers. Geddy, Geezer, Steve Harris, all of the above. There's so many of them to name. Those are my top three. You know that. I'm still envious and I'm floored every time I hear some of the earlier Rush stuff. What Geddy does when you listen to Geddy Lee and think about what he does. He's playing bass pedals. He's playing keys,
and he's singing.
He's singing high.
Yeah.
He's singing high. And he's athletic. He jumps too. He jumps during these damn Rush shows, these shows. So I'm just in awe. It's just people like that. Geezer Butler holding the groove that he does, and with those beautiful, beautiful runs that he does, that just add another element to that song, that Black Sabbath song that's just so beautiful in his playing. It's almost poetic. It's just a beautiful poetic line that he just keeps flowing. He makes the song flow with. It's just another piece of beauty to a Black Sabbath song. That's the way I equate it, and it just makes me want to play. Steve Harris, the same thing with Iron Maiden, just the things he does, and there's so many great players. Those are the ones I grew up on. So they made me want to get better and want to do this. And then when I saw them on stage, I said, wow, they're doing it on stage and making people feel good. That makes me feel good. That's what I want to do. If people are feeling like me, I want to get up there and make them feel good, because these guys are doing it to make me feel good. So it all comes back. I believe in that.
Absolutely. Well, and it's so fortunate also the timing in which we live, because as we were growing up, this music was happening. If it would have been maybe a decade before, you might have been hearing, I don't know, Chuck Berry and Elvis, and it might have not been the same, No,
and I don't think it would have been the same. I guess you brought up into what you brought up into, right? And I kind of appreciate. Look, Kiss, obviously, big impression on me. Big impression. They were my superheroes. And I said, when I saw Kiss on stage, I said, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to be on stage. I want to have fun playing music and make people feel great the way I feel like in this audience. I said, that is it for me, man. And that really sold me. So I also, if you think about that wasn't around, the Chuck Berry days, Elvis. But again, I still love Chuck Berry and Elvis and stuff like that. That was just, I guess if we were born then, those would have been our guys. I still love that stuff. It's all, it's all relative, really, about what time you come up in.
There you go.
This was mine, and I'm very, very lucky. I feel very lucky that I was able to grow up with these people like Kiss and Sabbath and Iron Maiden, Rush, and so many other great bands.
Yeah, who knows? In a different time, you could have been wearing a black suit and a skinny black tie playing, right?
And if that worked, if I had passion for it, I think this is where you direct your passion. See, I had all this angst in me, I guess from, the whole abandonment thing. And it really made, it's all in my book. Selfish promo again.
We'll talk about that too.
No, sure. I mean, for me, after doing that, I realized where it came from. This angst came into it. This beautiful instrument called the bass. It really got a lot of that angst out. It really is a tool. This tool, it's an instrument, but for me, it was a life tool. The bass was a life tool to get this angst out and make me feel better. It really was a calming thing, and made me feel that. And fill that hole that was there, whatever that hole was, and still is. I think that's my drive. That's my passion. Now, I know now it's never going to leave me, because I'm too in love with it. I have too much to do,
Absolutely. Well, and I wanted to circle back on just a little bit, because among so many things, monumental 40th anniversary with Anthrax.
It's so weird to hear. Isn't that weird to hear when you say that 40? Because I don't feel. Look, I'm not 40, but the band is, and I still remember auditioning for the band, bro, at 17 years old,
Wow.
right? And I still remember how scared I was coming from being the bass tech or the guitar tech into this environment where I'm jamming with the live band, which I never did before. All I did was play in the Bronx in my bedroom. Never had a band. Anthrax was my first band. So all of a sudden, I'm thrown into the lion's den because it was the right thing to do. I threw myself into it because I love the challenge. I knew I can do it. Whether I did it well, I didn't know. All I know is I put my head down and headbanged and played my best I could. And thankfully, it went well. I look at 40, the number 40 years. That 17-year-old kid was yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. And all this touring and all these records and all this stuff we've done and all the accolades and we've been very fortunate enough to have. And I can't believe we're celebrating. And we're at 41 right now because of COVID. We're at 41 years now. So, and the band's going strong. And the last 2 records, people are saying are some of the best records we've had of our career. So we're in a good place, writing-wise. The band's live never sounded better. I'm very happy where we're at. So, look, after what everybody's been through in this world, I think we need music to help us out of this funk that we're in. So I look to music in other bands, not only my band, just to get us out of it because it doesn't separate people. It puts people together, and that's really important these days.
Well, and it almost doesn't matter what level you're looking because humanity and music, you can go from the essentially very simple. I mean, think of even like Native American flute. All you have is a pentatonic scale, and with that, right, you can achieve kind of that similar effect of oneness with the universe. You kind of feel like it's just reaching out to the sky.
Yeah.
Those notes that you're putting and this feedback that you're getting, and I know with the bass, I'm sure you feel it too. Yeah. For us, it's right here, right over your heart, and it just thumping away.
And the older I get, I don't know if you feel this way, but the older I get, that reaffirms itself. It really does. It reaffirms itself, and it says, I was right. That guess, that chance that we took a long time ago, because we went with our gut. We went with our gut. And it's reaffirming everything now because, all right, it's been great, but it's true. It's true, but it does. It stays there. This is all heart, man. Heart and guts, man. And when I see a young player, which I love passing the torch. I think that's very important for all of us because I want people to feel this that we had and that we have. We're fortunate enough to have this beautiful tool to make us feel better about things and make us get that high. Mm-hmm. I think it's so important for even, like, I have a 16-year-old boy. I would love him to play. He doesn't play yet. He sings a lot, but I'm not going to push him. I said, look, I have a plethora of basses and guitars around. Whenever you want, whenever you're ready, do it, and I'll help whatever you want to do. I just leave it there, and when he's ready, he's ready. Yeah. But I love that that option is there for kids. That doesn't have to be kids. It could be 60, 70-year-old guys.
Sure.
Just to get you that feeling. It doesn't matter. I don't care. At my clinics, I'm telling you, we have from 11-year-old people to 60s and 70s. I've had a 70-year-old man at my bass clinic coming up on stage trying his first notes for the first time. And that meant more than anything, aside from the kids coming up and trying their first notes. Mm-hmm. I love seeing the face of acknowledgement that I did that. Man, that's it. It's the start of the bug, of the obsession. It's so important. It really is, because that can lead you through life. It really could if you get that bug like we did. And I think it helps so much with the outside life, outside world coming in when you're having a shit day. And I go in my room, I pick up my bass or my guitar, and then, it just takes it all away. It really does.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's also really important, the role that musicians have, because if you think about it, there's a lot of people that don't play. However, they live your music the same way. And it has a similar effect for them too. When they're having that bad day, and maybe they're coming back from work and they, hit the radio, all of a sudden that particular tune clicks and they go, yeah, I remember I saw Frank at this venue, and oh man, that day I felt so good. And now they can kind of relive it. And so many of these concerts, as we were growing up, it's more of that overall experience. You may not even remember a single tune. You couldn't rattle off the playlist, but you can go, that day I felt so fill in the blank. I felt so happy. I didn't remember any of the issues at hand. So it's an important role for everyone that there are individuals that continue. Passing the torch is perpetuating that for generations to come. So that's, a really important thing.
Absolutely. Look, there's nothing better than hearing somebody like come up to us, one of us, from a fan, whatever it may be, just a person in life coming up. Your music really helped me through my days. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, that means everything. Or like you just said, that show, I got away from my life for an hour and a half. Man, that's the best, because life is not easy. Life is not easy. So maybe people having, bad times in their life, they can come away. That's my whole thing with shows. That's why you got to leave 110% on stage, because these people paying, and it's not a kiss-ass thing. It's not any kind of line. They're coming with their hard-earned money to be entertained. Let's face it. They want to get away from their life for a little while. I get it. My job is to do it, leave it all. I want to be exhausted when I leave that stage. I want to feel exhausted. I want to feel like I did everything I possibly could have to make people feel good. And that's the whole point of it. That's what my heroes did. They made me feel good, and that's passing the torch. It really is. That's what I think. I'm hoping when I see these young musicians come up to me and say I've inspired them. That's the best compliment in the world. So I'm very grateful for that. Hopefully they'll carry that torch to the next generation. It just keeps carrying on. It's really important.
Well, and to add to that, with this development, with your recent book, Fathers, Brothers, and Sons, Surviving Anguish, Abandonment, and Anthrax, you're at another level being able to put into words all of this process and this feeling and this journey that is, your life.
Yeah. The book was, I wrote it here. I mean, in this basement you're seeing right now, with probably in this spot right here, with my co-writer Joel via internet, Zoom, for about a year. We were down. Those are the days where you couldn't walk out of your house. Oh my God, all this, that whole thing was going on, and I was going crazy. So my friend Joel, I've known him for a long time, and he said, this might be the time. I said, yes, it might be the time, and it just clicked. And look, I'll be honest with you, there were times where I had a bottle of vodka right here, and just getting through some of the times in my book, because there were some hurtful stories that really got me. And afterwards, so I put out the book, I finished the book, and I still had all this stuff that was still stirred up. And I started writing music for it, and I started writing songs. And so later on, we're going to come out with November. I think it's November 4th. We're coming out with an EP, a 3-song EP of the after results of after writing the book. There was a lot of angst. I love the word angst. There was a lot of angst that really I thought I put away for a long time about abandonment, and it's just a lot of rage. And the best way was go back to song for me, because it was still there. I've done a lot of therapy on it, and I find songs are also my therapy, so it really worked.
Well, and it's really important that also you found a constructive way to cope. Yeah. Because as we've seen with so many of our, as life goes by, you do see friends and acquaintances that spiral into a destructive mode, and you're kind of going, man, how, I knew him back when he was just a nice kid, and I never would have thought this would have been the way that would have went.
Well, music is a great outlet, let's face it. It was an outlet for me to get my angst out again, and it continues to, look, we all have shit days. When I have a shit day, I'm going to pick up a guitar or a bass, and somehow it's like taking an aspirin for a headache. It kind of just, all of a sudden, it's all right. You kind of like take a step back and you think about your issue, and maybe you come at it with a better head. And I think that's really important. I wish everybody can do that. That's why when I see young players come up in this crazy world we have right now, if they have this beautiful outlet of an instrument to go to, when they're having the trials and tribulations of the world on their head, it really will go a long way. They just don't know yet. And I love to instill that into their head. I think it's important.
Absolutely. Now, and if I'm not mistaken, didn't you just get an advanced copy of that EP?
I did, and this is a shameless plug. Now, this is very important to me. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's called Then I'm Gone. 3-song EP. These are the songs that I had written after the book. A lot of stuff going on about abandonment, just a lot of anger growing up. And when I revisited them in my head, it kind of took me right back there. And to be honest, after I finished the book, I couldn't get out of it for a while. So my outlet, again, I went there, and so from the people that have heard this so far, I'm getting really good results. So I hope everybody gives it a chance. I did a side project with David Ellefson a few years ago.
Yes.
Called Altitudes and Attitude. And a lot of people like that, fortunately. So if you like that, give this a chance, because this probably would have been the second album on this. These songs certainly would have been on that for sure. So yeah, it's just something, again, we're lucky enough to do this with music. We can get it out. And maybe by hearing a song, it could help people in their lives, because I'm hearing so many good things about the book. It's almost people are hearing like, this book helped me about abandonment and the loss. My book deals with loss, along with a bunch of great rock and roll fun stories, but it's just not your typical rock and roll book. That's what people are telling me. So it's been a great, if there had to be a downtime, at least I'm very proud of what we did with the book and the EP, and that came out for it. Something's positive about it, so I was psyched about that.
Coming back to the tour, because you guys had, when we spoke in June, you guys were revving up for the tour.
Yeah.
With Black Label Society, and that sounded like it was a blast. But one of the things that you'd been talking about, you'd been teasing about a particular piece of gear. I'm going to dive down the gear hole from Tech 21 NYC. How did that go? Because you were just you couldn't hardly tell us about it. We just all chomping at the bit.
It's going very well, and I'll tell you how well. How well it's going, because we're in constant contact. They're great people. Look, I've been a fan, first off, of Tech 21 since way back, and the days of 48th Street. You got to understand, when I was a kid, that was there. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm a diehard fan, and then they have quality. I'm not kissing up, and this is just true. Players know this. They have quality. I still have my original Sans amp, for God's sake. You know what I mean? I still have my very original. This is 20-something years old, and I still live it. I just recently we're working on a pedal that I'm very, very proud of, and we just did this. Anthrax just did this UK tour, and the test of it was we used my pedal and we replaced my Sans amp with my pedal, and it was. And I'm telling you, there's nothing better for a bass player who's testing out a pedal than to have other bass players come around and say, "What is that?" Dude, I was in my glory. Because it's not, it's not even marked. There's nothing. It's just a blank pedal, and it's just what the goods are inside of it, right? Yeah. So none of the details have been on top of it or anything. So we haven't made any kind of graphics on it, which for that reason it's not ready yet, because we're testing. That is my telltale right there. When you have other bass players around, it's like, what is that? That's it. That's how you know. What you hear, other people would like to hear, and that's really important to me. My sound man, I have to say this to you, who I've known, God, how many years, forever. He goes, "What are you using?" And that's it. That's all I wanted, because I didn't tell him I switched. I didn't tell him. Yeah. So, what are you using? That sounds great. Yeah, so we're in good shape. So I brought the pedal out of my rig to go back to New Jersey and work with Tech 21 to finalize all the sounds what we have. So I'm pretty excited, and they're great people. They're just great people to talk to and hang with. They're players. They understand sound, and that's the sound that we all love is Sans amp. We all use it. Everybody, all the bass players I know have at least one Sans amp, and I love it. So I'm very excited for the future with them.
Absolutely. And is there any kind of projected date because obviously you're going to have a lot of people that are interested, especially.
I hope so.
When are we thinking this might kind of, even in a rough way, when it might become available?
Rough way, I'm hoping another year from now, because by the time we get the actual pedal together and the graphics, and there's a lot of delays nowadays, and I'll say, I'm hoping it's within a year, because look, we've worked on this quite hard, and if people throughout the years that like my sound, I have a specific sound for Anthrax and my bass. I had to do this because it was important to me, and we really honed in on it, and I really feel like we got it to where I like it, because I'm a pain in the ass with that. I really am. And they were very, very open. They didn't say no to anything I asked, what to do this and do that. and they're just great people. And I think we have some fun stuff coming. It's not going to be expensive. It's not going to, no, I want players to use this pedal because I think they really will enjoy it. We're going to keep the price like normal. It's not going to be outlandish. So I'm pretty excited.
Very cool. And I take it that the Charvel, because that was a new thing going into the tour as well, that tied in with this.
This baby comes out, and can you see?
Yeah.
I'm on a small screen here, so that's it. That's my Charvel custom shop. Loving this.
Nice.
So we have the custom shop ones, and we have the ones that are coming out for everybody. These things sound killer. They play great. I've just tested them on 2 tours. Durable. If I was beating the shit out of these basses. I'm just saying, on stage we jump. We have a lot. We have a very active. People have seen Anthrax. We have a very active live stage show. So they held up and then some, because these things don't go out of tune. And that's my tech Jeff. He says, "Wow, you still in tune?" Because some ridiculous jump I did on top of the stage somewhere. He goes, "You still in tune?" I said, "Yeah, dude, I'm good. It's fine. I'm very happy with the play on it. The neck is incredible. The sound, it's just right. I call it a punch in your face. It's a punch in your face, and everything I want." Another company, Charvel. I've been with Fender before, and they really do it right. I'm really excited about people trying this bass.
Very cool. And that one has EMG pickups, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, and this is my Frank Bello signature EMG. I have to say that. I'm sorry. It's not a plug, but that's just, they all come. The Frank Bello signature pickups come in these basses, which is really important to me because of the sound that I want people to hear when they plug in the bass. And I think it's really, and they're very powerful pickups. We took some time with those two, getting the right combination right. They're active. They sound killer. And you know what? In bass world, I'm content, and I'm not fucking with anything right now because I'm very happy where we're at. So I can't wait to play these on the new Anthrax record. Good times ahead, man.
Nice. And the final component for your sound, strings, what were you playing on?
Diodario.
Nice.
I'm playing the Diodarios, and you know what? They're consistent. They're consistent, and during these shows that we play, not only studio time, and studio they always show up. They're bright, and for this music, you kind of have the cut. You need the cutting for the heavy drums and the heavy guitars. You kind of got to cut through the center with a frequency, so you really can't have like a boomy kind of sound with this music. It won't work. You'll never be heard, and the bass will be lost forever. So I find with the Diodarios, the round ones, they cut right through the center. I don't ever have to worry about it. And they're consistent live, even though you're sweating, and they last. I mean, for me, because I sweat a lot, we change them pretty much every show on my main bass because there's a lot of sweat going on. But let me tell you, man, my other basses, I just keep them on, and they keep the freshness. And you can hear it as soon as you start playing. Wow, this is still good.
Yeah.
So Diodarios, they've been around a long time for a reason,
Absolutely. Well, so much exciting stuff. We should talk a little bit about the future because we're having just this moment in time, and It is so great. And that's why I felt so fortunate. Back in June, here we are, kind of again another hop in, like we just dropped in. What's up for the future?
First, Anthrax is writing a record that'll be continued till next year. We want to make sure it's the right record. So people that are asking about that, thank you for asking. We're writing, and we're going to make sure it's the right record. Me personally, I'm going to put out the EP that comes out November 4th on Redbird Records. Go to my website, go to thefrankbello.com, at thefrankbello, and you can get all the info on that, on my bio. My bass is available there too. You can sign up for my bass, the EP, all that stuff is on at thefrankbello. We're talking about doing some solo shows for this EP. Just maybe doing some book stuff and some music stuff together in one environment. We're starting to talk about that now. It might be fun. Anthrax is playing Mexico in December, Mexico City, in a festival. And then that Black Label Anthrax tour starts again in February. They're booking that for.
Nice.
And I'm hearing a lot of good things for Anthrax next year too, but I can't talk about it because they're not signed up. Sure. But yeah, I mean, look, the point is we've missed a couple of years, right? Mm-hmm. I think we all have to get back to normal now, whatever the new normal is. But music has to be there.
As always, if people want to find out what's going on for Anthrax, anthrax.com, obviously. Sure. For you, thefrankbello.com.
Yeah, and you can go to my Instagram. It has everything. My bio. Go to my bio on my Instagram at the Frank Bello. It has everything you need to know where I am and appearances, all that good stuff. And you know, and just keep playing, man. I just want people to keep playing. I think, Raul, music got me through this whole thing. I mean, if we're through the whole COVID thing,
yeah.
It really, and it was writing a book, yes, but the music kept coming. Music was there always. Like my guitars, my basses, my guitars are right there. My amps are right here. I think we're very fortunate to have music in our life, and I just hope people go to that outlet. It's always helped me. And I think it's really important. So, and you know it as well as I do. So it's always been the go-to. When you're having a shit day, go there. I want to reiterate that point because I think it's important because people are having a tough time nowadays, and it's probably going to get a little tougher from what we're seeing in the news. So music. You know, it's going to be my thing.
There we go. Well, and I have had a little feedback. Was talking to one of the players out of Italy actually. And he was pretty optimistic because he was saying that because people need the music, that they're, again, willing to pay for venues, because we were seeing a switch. I remember I talked with Victor Wooten,
right.
And he had pointed out that people will pay for TV, like, they'll sign up for streaming, but they want music for free. And now they're kind of realizing, hey, if I want music, I have to support it. So now that's...
It's a different day. It's a different day with music because, look, I grew up in the time where when you wrote a song, you were paid for the song and stuff. Everything worked, and we can pay for our bills and stuff like that. Now we have to stay on the road a lot longer. Look, I love the road, but when you have a family, you also want to see your children grow up like everybody else, right? So there's a balance there somewhere. I don't think if you work, you should be paid off. You should be paid for working. That's all.
Yeah.
But is it? Everybody's got their thing. Look, we'll get through it either way. Either way, music's going to survive because we all need music, and that's the most important part. So
absolutely. Well, Frank, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, sharing your.
My pleasure.
Your hidden layer with us. This is so cool.
Sorry about the mess, but this is my mess.
It's all good, man. Well, thank you so much, folks. You've seen him here, Frank Bello on Bass Musician Magazine.
Take care, brother.